Hello, good evening, and welcome to the FB4 Daily. It is Tuesday, it is the 8th of October, and this show, of course, is brought to you by Paddy, as always. Paddy is a betting app, it's a website, it's all that sort of stuff. You know what it is, it's a bookies. If you want to gamble, please gamble responsibly, and if you're going to do so, try it with Paddy. Odds on football, odds on Liverpool, specials on Liverpool, all other sports, and everything else beyond that. Tonight, we're going to have a look at probably the only topic that we should be looking at tonight, and that is Jurgen Klopp. His first 4 years in charge of Liverpool Football Club. He arrived on this day in 2015. With me to discuss it is Damo Flood. Damo, how are you?
Hey, Keith, Gav, how's it for me?
I'm good. I'm flying. We're A from A. We're all happy. And me and Grizz had a good chat last night about Liverpool and all the clubs around us and stuff like that. So I just wanted to, this is the only real topic today, before the international stuff kicks off and we keep a nervous eye on every player that's left Liverpool to go and represent their country. So, Damo, something struck me when I spoke to you last week, and it was when you said, when you start your own podcast with Phil and the lads going back years and years ago, and Liverpool were brutal, and you were fairly harsh on Liverpool, the players, the structure of the club. You were well within your rights to be like that. So before we get into Klopp and the first 4 years he's had at the club, I just wanted to talk to you, just take you back slightly before that, and it's the Brendan Rodgers thing. A lot of people would argue at the time Brendan Rodgers should have left earlier. He should have went at the end of the previous season. He stays on despite a 6-1 defeat away to Stoke and Steven Gerrard's last game for Liverpool. He stays on, he makes some signings. Firmino is one, Benteke is another, and he eventually leaves the club. I think it's the 5th of October, and the rumours are quick that Klopp is the man, along with, I think, Ancelotti at the time. Damo, for you, was the timing right for Brendan Rodgers to go, or did you think at the end of the previous season, no, that's when he should have went?
I really feel that he should have went at the end of the season. I think the capitulation away in Gerrard's last game, 6-1, the club had hit a low point then, and I felt that the players weren't playing for him at the time. Now, kind of Brendan Rodgers' whole tenure as Liverpool manager is kind of built around a 6-month period of brilliance where we went on a run and we nearly won the league. And that kind of masks a pretty lackluster tenure as manager, in my opinion. I wasn't a big fan of his. I wasn't a big fan of his style. This kind of tiki-taka approach where it was slow build-up play. It was slow with the ball. But then we found something in the 13-14 season. And I don't know if it was by design, but it was something that was new to Rodgers in the way he played. Now, whether he was kind of forced to play that way with the personnel that he had available to him, and we had some fantastic attacking quality that you couldn't leave anyone out of the team. Sterling had to play, Sturridge had to play, and Suarez had to play. They were untouchable that season. They were brilliant. But that necessarily wasn't Klopp. And the first chance he got, he reverted back to type. And that was the following season, after 13-14, when he moved back away from that kind of three up front, quick, explosive football, and he went back to this slow, ponderous build-up play. So I really think, and don't get me wrong, I'm not slating Rodgers, but I believe that his overall tenure as manager at Liverpool is kind of disguised by that 6 months of brilliance where we nearly won the league. Because I'll be honest with you, the rest of it wasn't great.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I look back a little bit. Barry Carr on the comments says time flies when you're having fun. Funny you say that, Barry, because that's literally the last thing Damo said to me before we went live. Stephen Mack says 4 years ago today he said I think we'll win a title in the next 4 years. Here's hoping. Barry Carr says this is a Klopp show, not a Brendan show. It's not. It is a Klopp show, but I just wanted to go back just to precede the appointment of him and where the club stood. Let me see. On the continent, title means any trophy, says Stephen Mack. Yeah, I think I know what you mean there, and we all know what he meant with regards to that. You know what? It's for me. He has a good couple of months in 12-13 when he brings in Coutinho and Sturridge. He's good in 13-14, but I thought he should have went after that Stoke game. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. It was one of those where, it just wasn't working. But maybe at the time Klopp wasn't available because Klopp was meant to be on this kind of sabbatical, wasn't he? So it was if the club were eyeing him up, they probably felt they couldn't get him in the summer, and they probably could wait 3 or 4 months down the line. But Damo, I remember, I just wanted to quickly go on Brendan Rodgers, but Damo, I remember when Rodgers goes, it's broken just before the Merseyside derby that a lot of respected journalists and people, with close connections to the club, reckoned he would be gone after the derby regardless of the result. I think we drew 1-1 that day. Danny Ings scores for us. But when Klopp is then mentioned, Ancelotti's name is around there, and Klopp is mentioned then, and Damo, it just went from naught to fucking a million in like the matter of hours, didn't it? Once this became a real possibility of happening.
Yeah, it definitely did, and like there's only a certain few managers in the world that could have been linked with the Liverpool job at that time, which would have given you butterflies in your stomach to say, Jesus, this is the real deal we're getting here. There's very few that would have done that to us, and I think most fans got very excited at the thoughts of having Klopp straight away. Like, I know Phil Casey wanted Klopp before Rodgers, way before. Like, he wanted him a long time ago, and he mentioned it. And he'd been a big fan of him for a while, and I was a big fan of him at Dortmund and what he'd done at Dortmund for them. And to have him linked with us at a time when we'd kind of hit a plateau in what we were doing, we thought we'd become a big club again. To be struck down, losing our talisman and Gerrard, losing Suarez, we were kind of at the bottom of it again. We're looking at our squad, we're saying, have we got any quality in this squad, or is it just more shit for the next 10 years? And like, if anyone, like before Klopp was announced, if you were sitting down looking at it, they're looking at, we've just drawn with Everton, we're not playing great, things aren't great, and you're thinking, this is going to take 10, 15 years to fix again. This is a whole new rebuild. And if someone said to you, you'd be European champions and sitting top of the table in October, unbeaten, in 4 years' time, we would have taken the fucking hand off them there and then. Like, what he's done to that club and the turnaround in such a small, like, I know you say 4 years, but in football terms, that is a very short period of time. To do what he's done to the club in that period is phenomenal. And I think if we go back to the day he was announced, and you're dead right, I think we all had that little bit of a buzz about us, and he gave us all that little bit of excitement when he was announced.
Yeah, he did. It was madness. Like, I remember it being absolute madness, and I can honestly remember taking in, and I'm going to say it out loud, I remember taking in podcasts at the time from the Trippers, from the Anfield Rap, anything I could get my hands on, just for content. Now, some of the content may have mirrored, a lot of it mirrored each other, but you just wanted to listen to people talk about this man coming in to be Liverpool manager. I remember, like, they were tracking planes. They were tracking planes, and then there was like, he's being spotted at the Audi garage down near Speak, and it was all mad stuff. Like, you know what I mean? It was off the charts. Like, it was a real kind of thing where, we'd seen Hodgson, which was awful. Dalglish comes back and does okay, and then we go for Rodgers, and we went from a real high, and then it was a real low. You know, that kind of way. It was a real low with Rodgers towards the back end. But then to turn around, and the thing was, like, when there was talk of Rodgers going, the first time, Klopp and Ancelotti are mentioned, we're being sniggered at, that Damo. We're being laughed at by Arsenal, Chelsea fans, United fans, City fans, Spurs fans, Everton. Everyone is sniggering on us, going, are you seriously thinking you can go from Brendan Rodgers to an Ancelotti or a Klopp? And literally that day it happened. It was off the fucking charts when he was announced. And I remember, like, you were watching online, and there was like Twitter feeds from the Liverpool Twitter feed, and it was like little clips of him arriving, and we're in like like the like and the retweet refreshing on it, and it was just motoring. It was like, you're your electric board, you know, the way the thing spins on it, and
Yeah.
it's like you've turned everything on in the house, and you know everything's just absolutely going mental, and it was just absolutely insane. And the big thing, Damo, I suppose he says when he comes in is he needs to turn doubters into believers, and he couldn't have nailed it better, could he, Damo? Because we even still to this day speak about 20, 25, 30 years, 40 years of people watching Liverpool, and over the last 20 having this complex where, oh, we're doing great, but there was always a but, you know, that kind of way. And he nailed it that day with that comment, didn't he?
He did. And like, there was an awful lot of doubters, me being one of them. We went through that whole period, and as I said to you early on, I was very vocal against certain players, and I'd stand over the comments I made against them players. In my opinion, the players have paid scandalous amounts of money to play well, and they should play well for the club. And if they're not performing, they should be questioned on their performance. But I think Klopp comes in and he nails it with that comment straight off the bat, and he has the people, especially like myself and other lads who have been on the pod as well. All of a sudden, okay, yeah, let's get behind this. Let's believe in this. And he does with that one comment. He makes us kind of nearly like kids again. Nearly like, okay, let's start believing in the club. Let's start believing in what the project is here. And we knew kind of it wasn't going to be a quick fix. And in fairness to him, he doesn't try to make it a quick fix either. He gets into the club, he immerses himself in it. Yeah, he doesn't go in and blitz transfer windows with players left, right, and centre. He identifies what needs to be done, and he has literally made everyone of us into a believer. Like, it's so much so, you need to believe you're going to win every game now. And that's madness to be thinking every game you're going to win.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the next couple of fixtures and I'm going, yeah, we can take 12 points there, no problem.
Yeah.
And like in that run of fixture, we Spurs United and
Spurs United, City and Villa in the next 4.
And I'm just looking at this, and, yeah, that's take 12 there, be fancy. You know,
yeah.
You think back 4 years ago, you're looking at that and you're going, we might get 6 out of that. 7 would be a good kind of haul. But now I think, we'll take 12 there.
Yeah, no, it's mad. Like someone says there, the normal one. He comes in on his first day, and people say, "What way would you describe yourself?" And they're looking, and it's a loaded question because Mourinho in 2004, isn't it 2004 at Chelsea, calls himself the special one, you know, and you know he comes in and went, "Well, probably you can call me the normal one," and it's straight away he has the media in the palm of his hand. He really does, you know. And if you go back, I remember where I was when I watched the first game under his managerial tutelage, as you call it. He's away at Spurs, and Spurs are, you know, really up and coming at that time. You know, they're a good side. We're going away, and I'm kind of thinking, bad game from the start, bad game. And he has Adam Lallana running around like an absolute madman. I remember Lallana coming off. I was sitting in a pub watching it, and I remember texting the lads at halftime going, he literally is pressing the life out of Spurs here, and he's only had the team, you know, 4 or 5 days. It's insane. Adam Lallana, who was considered couldn't last more than 60, I think he plays about 80 minutes that day and runs his absolute nuts off to the point where he comes off and he nearly falls into Klopp's arms, you know, that kind of way. But it's just, you could see it from the outset. You talk about not lashing money around the place. I don't think he signs anyone in the January window apart from Stephen Colker on loan. If I remember right, I think he signs him, plays him up front for a couple of games, and then just you never see him again. But even in that 4th season, you know, he's left Dortmund. He's gone on his little break. He manages, I think, 5 months of a break probably, and he's back at Liverpool, and we're in the Europa League, and he brings us on a brilliant journey, doesn't he? You know, like United's Borussia Dortmund was one of the best nights Anfield ever seen. Villarreal, after being, I think, 1-0 down after the first leg, we go and beat them 3-0. Okay, we get beaten in the final, but straight away you can see he's taken a group of players there and he's not done much with them, you know, with regards to changing the personnel, and he has us in the European final within 7 months. You know, it's mad, like.
Yeah, what he's done in a short period of time. That's what I'm saying. Like earlier on, we're talking. This is his 4th anniversary now today. That's a tiny window in terms of football when you really think about it. Like what's that, 7 or 8 transfer windows? And you're right. He's come in and he's hit the ground running, and he's instilled what he wants to do. And we haven't really varied from him, other than a couple of tweaks here and there. We still have that high tempo. We still have that. We're not moving away from what we do. And I used to say this years ago, because I always felt Liverpool, we tried to change. I mean, possibly had to with the personnel we have. I always felt we tried to change to suit how other teams played against us, rather than saying, fuck them, we're going to play this way and they've got to deal with us. And I always wanted a manager that had done that. Like, we watched United do it for years. Ferguson rarely ever changed what you did. Everyone knew what you got with United. He went at you and he scored goals. And maybe he'd tweak it once a season against Arsenal, where he played 5 in the middle and you just wouldn't get beaten with him. But you always knew what you were getting with him. And I always wanted Liverpool to be that again, because I remember that's what they were during the 80s when we were at the top of our game in 88 and in around 86. We went at teams, and our philosophy never changed. We were there to play football. We were there to win games. Where I felt over kind of the period where we were stale, we were going into games with different kind of tactics. We're going to sit deep. We're going to play this way. Where I just love that we have our identity back in the club. That it's an open brand of football, attacking, and yeah. What are you going to say, Ev?
I was going to say there, just a really interesting thing comes out. You're talking about progression. I've missed the name who's told me there, but the win rate over the last 4 years has gone from 49 to 50 to 60 to 75. That's the win rate.
I was looking there earlier on.
As it gathers year on year, you know. The cop table are on the chat. They say, "Evening lads, good evening." Stephen Mack still with the cap locks on, shouting at me every single message. But he says we did win a title, Gav, the European title of Super Champions. Yeah, we did win a title, and he has done what he said he'd do. There's absolutely no problem. Somebody else says there, you've 2 weeks to fill some time now, Gav, with no football. What are you going to do? Is it quiz time? If people want the quiz back, let me know. I'll get the quiz back. I'd great fun with it. But if you, I'll have to have a rematch with Chris Brack, and then I will also need to get somebody, when I invariably lose, to take on Chris Brack, so we'll have to see how it goes. Mick says, I've never seen a manager work with new signings to get them in the right way like he does. That's a very fair point. Damo, another thing there, net spend over 4 years is 150 million, which is absolutely nothing. Somebody else says there, he's revolutionised the way the Premier League can be got at without throwing absolute heaps and heaps of money at it. He's spent a lot of money, but he's recouped it, and he's lost some big players, and he's absolutely, you know, dealt with it no problem.
Yeah, seamlessly replaced them. And like any other year, like when we lost Suarez, that decimated us, like, because he's our kind of our main kind of marquee, our franchise player at the time. I know Gerrard was coming to the end of his time. Suarez was the real main thing. And pretty much like when we lost Torres as well, you're thinking, how do you recover from this? It's going to take another couple of windows maybe to replace him. But we've gone and we've lost Coutinho, who arguably was one of our best players at the time, to not even missing the fella. You know, like a little tweak makes a signing, and he's not even missed in the squad. You know, it's what he does to move the squad and develop the squad the way he wants it. And I just love the fact that, like, because we're all guilty of it. We're all looking at transfer rumours, and we're all shouting and roaring. We're on Twitter, get this player, get that player, and we're all football managers, the greatest in the world, because we've won a championship or two on Football Manager back in the day. He identifies what he wants, and he knows what he wants, and he's going to get it. And if he has to get that person, he's going to do it. And that's what I like him. That he's not just scattergun approach. He knows what he wants, and he'll pick and choose, and he'll wait his time to get it.
Absolutely. And you know, that season where he's going for the Europa League, he knocks the league on the head. Really does. He knocks the league on the head. He's playing all sorts of teams, and he's going to try get Champions League football out of this Europa League, and it doesn't happen for him. And it's probably the first time. You know, he's 7-8 months into the job, and the media are saying, "Oh, did he make a mistake there?" They're starting to question him, and I think Damo, they're starting to question him because they realise he's good. You know what I mean? If they didn't rate him, or they didn't think he was going to be a success, they go, well, he tried. You know, like let's put it this way: if Harry Redknapp done that, you'd be going, "Oh well, Harry went, he was brave and done that." Whereas with Klopp, they're saying, "Oh, did he mess up there and he put too many eggs in one basket and stuff?" But he really went for it. And the following season, we don't end up in Europe. We end up having no European football, but he obviously has a plan here with that as well, going into the following season, where I'll get us back in top four. And I'll have no, you know, nothing sidetracking us like a European run. I'll just get us in the top 4. That'll be our first aim, and that'll get us on track. And he doesn't fail in that either.
Yeah, he's kind of fallen on his feet there a little bit. Like, in hindsight, you look at it, he probably was right to go after the silverware, because if he gets that within his first couple of months, like, he's an absolute god straight away. Now, even without winning it, I still think every fan is looking at that saying, we've got a real manager on our hands here. We've got someone who knows what he's doing. But I would have been fearful for us going into a Champions League the following season. I still think the squad was pretty weak at that period of time, and it could have went against him. And you kind of, luckily enough, we weren't in it. He's had a kind of season to again mould the squad into what he wants. He's not in the spotlight or the glare of a Champions League, because remember when Rodgers went into it, and he was like a deer in the headlights.
Well, he still is in European football.
Yeah, when he was into the Champions League,
severely lacking.
Yeah, and we get murdered in the group stages, and we look like a team that shouldn't be there, and we look like amateurs. Like, I think the team we put out against AC Milan, Real Madrid, Bernabeu,
was a disgrace.
It was like a team you put out for the Carabao Cup.
It was a disgrace because he was playing United on the following Sunday.
Yeah, and that was it. And that's what I would have feared possibly could have happened if Klopp had won the Europa League and went into Champions League the following year. So kind of in a way, you can say it's luck or whatever, but I think that extra season that he could just kind of stay out of the spotlight and he has the extra break. He didn't have to break the bank buying players because the squad he had could kind of fulfill the Premier League games and the cup games that he had. And I think that kind of little season in between was big for him. I don't think it was a good design, but it was probably big for him in setting down what he really wanted to do going forward with the club, and kind of got a little base for himself, and he just built things up nice and slowly, without having to rotate players in and out. Because if you start losing more and more games, as we said there a few minutes ago, the media are going to be at you.
And you lose the momentum that you're trying to build as well.
Exactly. And I think if we had a qualified for the Champions League, I think that possibly could have happened that year. So it's kind of worked out well for him that we weren't in it.
Yeah. Well, I have a random question for you at the end with regards to mashed potatoes, Damo, so I'll throw that at you near the end, right? Somebody else says there that credit to Michael Edwards for keeping the net spend so low. Yeah, absolutely. He seems crucial in what Klopp's doing. And as soon as Klopp gets the job, all talk of transfer committees are gone. He basically tells people, yes, we have a transfer committee, but I'm not going to tell you who it is, and I'm not going to tell you how it works. So it's one of those where, he's laying down the law in a really, really not casual way, but he's assertive without having to be aggressive in what he's saying. He's really, really good at it. But he gets top 4 in 16, 17. We go into 17, 18. And people are thinking, how far can we go? And he's bringing in Andy Robertson. He's bringing, Coutinho starting to act a maggot and stuff like that. But it doesn't let him affect him. And he's building this squad. And when I look the first day he had against Spurs and the squad he has to what he has now, it's night and day. I think only is it Lallana and Milner, maybe only 2 people in the squad. And Divock Origi there. Yeah, Divock Origi. But it's he goes into 17, 18, and people are thinking, can he go for a title push? Can he do this? Can he do that? And in the end, he does a good balancing act. I think he does do a good balancing act where he's concentrating on top 4 and he's making sure he's going to get that. But we're sensational in Europe, Damo. Sensational.
Yeah, like he's created the kind of vibe in Europe now that Rafa Benitez had, where you look at it and there's no team on paper you feel can beat us over 2 legs. They'll probably beat us over a game, won't do us over 2 legs. And we kind of had that fear factor under Benitez in Europe, where now Klopp has it in Europe, but we also have it in the league. So he's kind of started to balance it up very well. In the year 17, 18, we were still a ways off, I think, having a title challenge, really. We're probably getting the wrong year there. But really having a good crack at the league. Was that the year that City ran away with it in the first?
17-18 is the year City get 100 points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the year. They have
18-19 is last season.
Yeah, they have it won nearly by Christmas, and United finished second that year, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, and like when I say United finished second, I think they were 20 or 30 points behind.
Yeah, City. It was scandalous. Yeah,
and I just felt we were still a way off challenging City at that stage, but you could see what he was doing and developing the side and getting stronger as we were going on and getting better every year. So it's the development of the squad has been getting slowly and gradually better as we're going on in Klopp's tenure, and we can all see that. So yeah, I'm about to get lost there somewhere along the way.
No, well, like when I look back at 17-18, I just we were nobody was in a title challenge with City. Let's be honest about it. They finish on 100 points. They're miles ahead of anyone else. But Klopp does a decent balancing act where he's keeping our interest in the top four very much alive. You know, he has the Champions League, and that takes on nearly a life of its own. You know, I don't think anyone going into that season, you know, is thinking we could go and win a Champions League. If you put your hand on your heart, you know what I mean? No. If you put your hand on your heart, I don't think you do, because I remember Salah being signed and people saying, "Oh, he'd be good backup for the lads that are there," because obviously, Coutinho's still there, Mane's still there. You know, Mane is there, Firmino's there, and they're thinking, and they were starting to call it the Fab Four and stuff like that, and it was always going to be a three. You know, it's always going to be a three. So I think he does a really good balancing act during that season, and then that takes on a life of its own. But he's when the focus switches to the Champions League and it looks a real possibility, he still keeps that. You know, he still keeps that league ticking over and just getting what he needs, just getting what he needs. I've asked a question there, Damo, about Klopp extending by 2022, or will he leave? Northred is just pleading for him to extend. Maverick says 17-18 was one of the best Champions League runs I've ever seen, all the way to the final. Battering City was marvellous. Apart from he who must not be named in goal, it was fantastic. It absolutely was. And look, Damo, like when you get into it, we lose in Kiev. You know, a goalkeeper makes two horrendous errors. We lose our best player of the season, within 20-25 minutes or whatever it was. But still, when you come out at the end of the season, I think, how many days beforehand we've guaranteed ourselves top four again. I think we're a win at home against Brighton, I think it was, a 4-0 win. And we're going into that Champions League final and everyone's going, well, look, we got our top four. We're never going to get near that league. And Klopp is still saying, but we can do it. And he feels that, like, I think we're in with a massive chance in Kiev, and we are probably a better side. I think we play better in Kiev than we do in Madrid, for argument's sake. But just to measure the man, Damo, to lose that final in the manner that we lose it, all right, he's very diplomatic towards certain players that didn't turn up for him and different things, and we won't go into that. But he galvanises the squad again, Damo. He galvanises the squad. He's put them in a position there last season where we could have fell off and said, oh well, look, we lost the European Cup final. But he galvanises them, and look what he done again last season, Damo. And like somebody said there earlier, the win percentage is off the charts year on year.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it there because one of the lads was going to the stats. I was just looking. I think we're taking over 2 points a game on average, scoring over 2 goals a game per average. Like, that's outrageous. Like, in his time as manager, we're taking over 2 points a game, and we're scoring over 2 a game. Like, that's mental statistics. If you just looked at that, like, as a neutral, you're saying, Jesus Christ, that they are mental tallies you're rattling up there. Going back to what you were talking about there and galvanising the squad, like, it's nearly, you're dead right what you're saying. And I remember going back when we kind of struggled after losing the league under Brendan Rodgers, and I was on one of the podcasts and I said what my fear was that this squad was going to be broken by not winning the league. I felt it was going to have a detrimental effect going into the following season. and I didn't think that the mentality of the squad was strong enough to kind of carry losing the league the way we did into the following season. And I felt we'd have a big dip and a fall off. And I think I said it on one of the pods back then. And it turned out that way the following season. We literally, first couple of games, we were dreadful.
Yeah, well, like you're saying there, and John was agreeing with you. He's saying it's good to see Damo mention, Rodgers' tenure is a good 6 months because he feels the rest was crap. He said before last week's game, the media were saying Rodgers deserved a standing ovation from the Liverpool fans, all because he had 6 months of a hot streak. You'd swear he'd won the Premier League title. But if you look at the drop off of us then after that, and now come back around to after Kiev. Sorry, Stephen McAssaney has to shout at Gav in order to get me to notice me. Stephen, you have them caps lock turned on. They must be glued down, and you're talking about lamb and beef, mate. So I'll have to wait till a little bit later to get back to you. But just the way he takes them, Damo, because I would have forgiven them last season if they'd have scraped top four and quarter-final of a Champions League, and you just go, look, that's the bubble a little bit burst. It's understandable. We've seen it happen to teams like this before, but he doesn't. They just keep getting better and better and better. Yeah,
and I'm kind of hoping that this Premier League season is going to be something like what happened to us in Kiev. Like we get done in Kiev, he keeps the lads' heads up. He's rallying them around on the pitch. You can see he's absolutely seething at we all know who. But he doesn't let it come true. He kind of holds himself brilliantly after the game, speaks positively, gets the lads up, and we go out and we win the Champions League the following season. Now, losing the league the way we did last year, which any other year you're winning the league with the points tally we've rattled up, we've lost one game, and we've been pipped at the post by a City side who've gone and won 15 games in the spin. That's heartbreaking. But if you watch our final game of the season, and we lose the league basically because City go and do what they do at Brighton, the lads don't look affected by it. They're laughing, They're joking, they're jovial, and you can nearly see it in their eyes where they're saying, we're close now, but we're winning it next year. And I think that's where we're looking at what this steel determination that he's driving into this squad of players.
They lose a league title on the last day, right? Yeah. Two phenomenal sides going absolutely tooting there, for 12, 15 games towards the end. I think they nearly win every game between the both of them. But all right, they lose it, and I know what you're saying. They're walking around Anfield after that game against Wolves, and they are kind of joking and in good spirits. But I think there is I think you're right. There's a steely determination to go to Madrid and nail that Champions League and go, yeah, you done 98 and we done 97, but we've gone and won that thing, and that's the thing you wanted. Kind of way, and it's just that determination he puts into it, and it's rolled into this season again. He hasn't gone out and bought anybody big. He's basically telling the squad, "You're unbelievable." So don't get me wrong, Damo. You were probably calling for players in the summer. I know I was calling for one or two. Hands up, I definitely was. People watching this show were calling for it. I started this show on July the 1st, which gave us a full month and 5 weeks of a transfer window, and people every day were calling for players, me included. And he doesn't. He tells the squad they're brilliant. And you can go, and he's being fully justified in what he's done, in keeping the squad together. He's going to rely on them. He has enough stats behind him and analytics and anything else he needs for the backroom staff to say, yeah, they'll be fine over the season if we do A, B and C. He absolutely has a plan in place. But look, he's a brilliant manager. Like I think you said to me before, the day he leaves this club will be like a death in the family, and I couldn't agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. I'm being honest with you. It always gives me that kind of flashbacks and things, and when Shankly retires at Liverpool and they have that news on the street and they're telling the kids, and the kids are like, what? Are you serious? And they're nearly tears in their eyes, I think it'd be something along them lines.
I remember when Dalglish resigned. I think it was after the Everton game, they'd beaten us in an FA Cup.
1-0.
It was a replay, and I think they'd been to do with 2 epic games, and they beat us, and he was a broken man. I remember he was kind of called time, and I was devastated. I was only a kid at the time, but I remember that devastation of losing him. And I fear it'd be something similar now when Klopp finally decides to go. I know we're looking at it, and he's not signing contracts at the minute. Or there's talk of this, and he's gone. I don't think so. I think he could be creating a bit of a legacy for himself. Like he could do something really, really special, and he can cement his name in world football for forever, really. Or he can go off. He can go off into the sunset.
If he wins a league title, he could walk away.
He could.
He could walk away literally next summer after going, there's a European Cup and the league title. What more do you want? Look where you were when I got you. He could genuinely do that, and nobody could argue with him. The kind of way. I think if he didn't win them, there's more chance of him staying because of a determination to put that league title on the table. If he wins it, and let's be honest, if he wins one, I think he wins two. I'm going to be honest with you. But that Germany job is coming up in the summer of 2022, and I have a feeling that his name is written all over it. I'd like to know what people think on the chat. Does he go? Does he not go? I think it was Mick said earlier. He feels that he looks drained already. Never mind in 3 years' time. Northred says, when you see the footage of Jurgen Klopp leaving Dortmund, grown men and women were crying. That will be us whenever it happens. I agree with you. I think it'll be a massive outpouring of emotion when Jurgen Klopp decides to call time in Liverpool, regardless of what happens between now and the day he leaves. If there's a league title or not, just the stature of the man, a little bit like Benitez. Benitez wins a European Cup and an FA Cup. And it's the stuff he done around the club, the stuff he done around Hillsborough, the donations he made to the family, the campaign and stuff like that. Rafa Benitez still owns a house in Liverpool. I think his wife and kids are still there. The kind of way. He just got drawn in by the city, and his family just can't leave. The kind of way, and that's just the way it goes. It'd be like me or you, Damo, going over to Australia and going, this is fucking great because one, the sun more than 3 days in the year. The kind of way. So that's a plus compared to Ireland at times. But just...
Sorry, Gav, just cut across here. Yeah. What my gut feeling of it is that he sees this squad through, and then he goes. I think he doesn't do a rebuild of the squad. They're all kind of pretty much in around the same age. Where Ferguson had 20 years where he done 2 or 3 rebuilds, and you're going to have 2 or 3 year periods, or maybe a year or two, where you've got to tear down what you've just done and rebuild. I don't see him doing that. I see him building this squad and seeing it through, and then maybe starting to look at for the out then. I don't see him trying to have a rebuild. And that'll give us another 4 or 5 years, I think.
You think you get 4 or 5 out of him? So you think he signs a 2-year extension?
I think so,
yeah. Emma comes up with a point, and I think he did make this point earlier, Emma, and I just completely forgot your name when I wanted to say it. He says, the 7-year itch, could we offer him a sabbatical? Pep Linders steps in for interim 6 months, possibly a year. Could be something like that. You don't know. But does it work for a sabbatical for him to go off and let someone else take the club for a year and then come back? I don't know. I think if he makes a break from the club, I think he makes a break. My gut feeling on the Damo is that he goes in 2022 at the end of his contract. I want to be wrong. I want Liverpool to win the league title, and next May he turns around and goes, it's May 2020, let's go to 2024.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And maybe he does in 2022 do a little rebuild and has 2 seasons there where he's putting the club on a play for the Pep Linders or anyone else that they feel that it's suitable for.
Well, I have to say, Gav, one thing I want to touch on there. They really need to be identifying now, and this goes back. We've always spoke about this years ago in the early pods as well, and I know speaking to Steve-O, we always felt this way. We need to be identifying now who Klopp's replacement is, and we need that man walking alongside it. Whether it's Pep Linders or not, we need him to be part of what's happening now and having this philosophy. Because the last thing you want is somebody, say Klopp has gone out the door, and right, who are we looking at here now, lads?
Steven Gerrard.
We're looking at Steven Gerrard, okay?
My worst nightmare, I'm being honest.
Mine as well. But whatever he wants, and he could do brilliant things at Rangers. But the first thing he's going to do is he's going to come in and put his own stamp on the club the way he wants it done. He's going to change things. Where I think why we were so successful for so long in the 70s and 80s was we always had the next man coming through. He didn't change the philosophy of the club. He added in a few extra players, but the philosophy of the club never changed. And I think we found our identity again. after going through umpteen managers who were all defensive minded, and Houllier and Benitez and Hodgson, we've now found our identity again with a manager who plays the brand of football that Liverpool fans expect. And we need to be identifying somebody that believes in that and is going to work.
Well, Pep Linders is probably our man then.
He is your man. He'd be looking at it. Now, in my opinion, I think he will be the man. I think they're probably already grooming him to be that man. And I think so. And I'll be honest, I would like him to get the job. Possibly at this point, like if somebody asked me who do I want to get the job tomorrow, I'd say Pep Linders. But like I'd like to see the club thinking. I do
think they're thinking. If anything gets to it, I really do. Chris Brack reckons to be minimum 2024 before he leaves. Well, listen, I hope he's absolutely right. Again, Chris says he does not want Gerrard next. He isn't ready. Rangers isn't big enough. That is Edwards' biggest long-term project. But just regards to squad building, I think they're looking at players already for next season. Somebody there mentions that Mane or Salah will sadly go in this time of this 3 years when this contract is up. I agree with you. I think it's more likely to be Salah than Mane, but I do think, and I genuinely do think that Jadon Sancho and Kylian Mbappe are being looked at by Liverpool Football Club. I genuinely believe that. I think
a good friend of mine made a good point the other day to me when he was speaking about the movements probably next summer, and he nailed on the head. He said the same thing you said regarding Salah, and he said he thinks he will go before Mane because of his age, and I'm sure that the money men Edwards and the people behind it are looking, saying, when can we get our biggest bang for buck off this player?
It'll probably be next summer.
Probably be next summer.
Yeah.
And then if you look at it, if we have the deal coming through on the kit, you're probably looking at the likes of Mbappe. Now, whether we get him or not is another thing, but I'm sure the Nike people will want him. Isn't he the face of Nike?
Yeah.
So they'll kind of want the face of Nike playing for somebody that's
absolutely.
Now they just pump millions into it. So yeah, I do see a big summer come up for us, and I do possibly think it could be Salah that goes.
Yeah, well, they may get another season now with Salah, but I do think they will go big next summer, regardless of whether anyone leaves or not. Northred said Scottish football wouldn't touch the Premier League. He loves Gerrard, but not managing us. It's Pep for him. Get the league title this year and big names to come in the summer. Life couldn't be better, says Mick. I absolutely agree. Let me see. Chris Brack says could be Pep Linders next LFC manager and Arteta at City. I did see somebody say last week that was it Van Bronckhorst was being tipped to be the next City manager. He's already on the books or something like that. Stephen says he gets a whiff of Souness off of Gerrard. We'll have to wait and see. We'll absolutely have to wait and see. Chris says if we win the league next season or this season, why would Salah want out? It's not about if Salah wants out or whatever else. You know, if Salah gives any inkling, and as Damo says, you always go in and get the best deal you can. But I think you might see a season or two. Damo, your favourite... before I go on, I'm going to ask the question about the fucking potatoes. Will you just give me a minute? I will ask Damo about the potatoes, I promise. Chris Brack says, can we laugh about the Ev all day long, mate? All day. I do have a little announcement on everything that I'm going to do before this show ends. But Damo, just the last thing on Klopp for me, when you look at the ticket price thing that went on a couple of years back on £77 and stuff like that, and he had no problem with fans walking out of the ground that day. I really like that, the way he stood with the fans. I really like the way he's basically told the main stand to go fuck off at times and absolutely pulled them over leaving grounds early when we're losing, and he's got the mentality in the stadium. The mentality in the stadium is night and day to what it was 4, 5, 6, 10 years ago. It's unreal, and around the ground, it's completely and utterly different. But just give me your favourite Klopp moment from the last 4 years, Damo.
There's, you know what, like, when you think about it, there's so many of them, and like, normally with most managers, you're kind of looking at it, and you don't get kind of amazing moments. But I think the goal against Norwich, it's a nothing game, and we end up beating Norwich after being well in front. We score a scaldy one. But the videos that come out after with the Baywatch music and all, and breaking his glasses and the whole lot.
He didn't care.
Yeah, that's probably one of my favourite moments. It kind of it's the one that sums him up most for me. I think. Yeah, it's probably the one for me. Yeah.
The one for me is the derby. Divock Origi scores, and Jurgen Klopp forgets he's the manager of Liverpool Football Club, and just goes running on the pitch, because that's what football fans do. That's what everyone in that ground wanted to do when that goal went in. They wanted to get on the pitch. They wanted to hug a player near them, and he just managed to get Alisson. So that would be one of my favourites. The thing where he shouts Alisson, or Adrian, after the Super Cup's amazing. The Norwich one is amazing. The bit where he brings them down to the Kop after the 2-2 draw against West Brom, again, Liverpool were sniggered at, but it was very calculated from him. You get the players and you get the Kop together, and you say, look, we didn't win today, but we stick together. And I think that was a massive thing. And he basically told the Kop to, acknowledge these boys' efforts, and it works. Look, that's about it. We have to go, because I think we've gone about 45 minutes there. We're really taking the mick now at this stage every night. But tomorrow, I'm going to have an Everton fan on with me. We will be on live from 10 o'clock. He's a really, really nice guy. You'll see him on Twitter at David Downey17. Dave is... look, I find him a really, really honest Everton fan. He doesn't bullshit you. He'll tell you if it's good, bad, or indifferent at Everton. I know at the moment he thinks it's fucking terrible. And I'm gonna have him on tomorrow night from 10 o'clock. If you want to, if you're coming on there tomorrow night with the chat, if you're gonna throw abuse at Dave, there's no real point. He's not going to see it, and I'm not going to read it out. So if you have any genuine questions, to Dave about Everton, because I'm intrigued by them as to what's going on there. So if you have any genuine questions for Dave, listen, throw them in. He'll give you his thoughts on them, you know what I mean? But I don't like getting fellas on and bashing them about their football club. I just don't. I don't think it leads to productive conversation about football. I really don't. So, Dave is coming on 10 o'clock. By all means, come on. Ask him any kind of questions you want on Everton, players, the structure of the club, the manager, where do you think they're going, anything like that. I'm going to ask them all these as well. So look, Dave's going to be on from 10 o'clock, so come and join us then. Damo, before we leave, is it acceptable to put mashed potatoes and roast potatoes on your dinner at the same time on a Sunday?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah? Couple of lads have suggested there that we throw hash browns and everything on. Anything made of potato?
No, that's a lot of bollocks. No, we wouldn't put the hash browns now, because that's... No, wouldn't have that. But you have to have a few roasters at the side of a bit of mash. You don't put them beside each other now. No, that's a no.
So the roast potatoes can't be beside the mash? No,
can't be beside it, but we can on the same plate.
Right. So if I'm saying to you Sunday dinner, or you're going down for a carvery dinner, what's your poison when you go down?
I'm partial to a bit of turkey and ham. No matter what time of the year, I'm partial to a bit of turkey and ham.
Bit of stuffing.
It has to be stuffing. Yeah. So normally, if you have your roasters kind of separated from the mash with the stuffing and a bit of veg, happy days. Because you don't want to be eating the mash and the roasters at the same time. Yeah. To me, it's one or the other.
But you don't. But like, you wouldn't have mash and roasters on the same plate, would you?
I'd have them on the same plate. Wouldn't just have them touching off each other. And wouldn't eat them on the same.
But like Damo, they can be touching off each other. It doesn't mean you're going to pick them up at the same time. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, something like that. Yeah, I'm not going to have either of the two of them.
I mean, you're not blind. Like, you know what I mean? You can see what you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you're being a bit weird there, Damo. Like, if you just land on the plate beside each other.
I'm a bit weird. Who asked the fucking question?
I don't know who asked the question. They've spent an age talking about it here, and it went all over the shop. And then they were wondering why I was ignoring the conversation. It was literally about fucking cows and pigs. You know the kind of way.
What? Don't you just know it's international break?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, yeah, I like a bit of turkey and ham, stuffing, mash, not mad on roast potatoes, cabbage, all the veg, and loads of gravy, and yeah, we're absolutely spot on. Emmett said the Evs new stadium site is full of shy. Yeah, I'd seen someone the other day saying it's they've done a survey on it, and it's actually quicksand that they're trying to build that in. But listen, if that was true, unbelievable. But look, that's the end of it. That's the FB4 Daily for today, Tuesday the 8th of October. It's been a pleasure. The comments have been wild, weird, wonderful. But listen, if all things go to plan, you never know. Jurgen Klopp might stay beyond 2022. He'd rebuild the squad. Damo will tell us he predicted it. and never put mashed potatoes beside your roast potatoes on your dinner. That's the top
Never.
tip.
Never.
Join us tomorrow from 10 p.m. when Dave Downey, the Everton fan, will join us for a nice 40 to 45 minutes chat on the Blues. Talk to you then. Over now.
Check.